Doesn't matter if there's a president from the opposing party. We don't skip out.
Yeah, Republicans don't skip out. Although I have a feeling this guy, chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, Jason Smith, Republican, arguably one of the three most powerful Republicans in Congress, I think he skips out. You tell me if he skips out.
Why should you ban ICE from being at polling places? Because illegals aren't supposed to vote in this America. I mean, like, it does not make sense, the requests that they're happening. Enforce the rule of law, and that's what President Trump is doing. Apparently, Democrats don't like the rule of law. If they don't like the rule of law, they need to change it. They have never changed it, but they're complaining now.
That is the third most powerful Republican, the party of anti-LGBTQ. That is Republican Jason Smith of Missouri, and that's what he sounds like when he's code switching. That's what he sounds like when he's trying to sound tough for his Republican conservative gay marriage banning constituents. So I think he skips out of town and heads back to Missouri. And look at this. The Missouri congressman is back in Missouri talking with the local station in Missouri. I'm not making this up. Look what it says. Look at the lower. See that? Do you see that? Right there. Mo. Here is Missouri Congressman Jason Smith, Republican, on Fox News. Look at how they identify him on Fox News. Jason Smith, Mo. I don't know what the R in front of Mo means. I'm getting a note passed. I'm being told Missouri Congressman Jason Smith is from Missouri, and the abbreviation for Missouri is MO. Mo. Really? That's a stupid abbreviation. Fine. I'll take your word for it. MO is an abbreviation for Missouri. Okay. All right. Jason Smith, Mo, Mo isn't married, but he is a breeder. He's a dog breeder. Jason Smith, Mo, comes from a family of dog breeders, which is why when voters in the state of Missouri, or Mo, passed Proposition B back in 2010, it was called the Puppy Mill Cruelty Prevention Act. Jason Smith, Mo, then a state legislator, he campaigned vigorously against the Puppy Mill Cruelty Prevention Act. Jason Smith, Mo, opposed a referendum that would outlaw cruelty to puppies, but it passed anyway. And after the Puppy Mill Cruelty Prevention Act became law, he, as the whip of the Republican-controlled State House back then, Jason Smith, Mo, was able to succeed in passing legislation that severely weakened the Puppy Mill Cruelty Prevention Act, because as we all know,
if they don't like the rule of law, they need to change it.
Well, actually, Jason Smith, Mo, the rule of law was changed in the most democratic way possible. It was changed when citizens from Mo voted in favor of a referendum. You didn't like the law because your family is in the dog breeding business. So you changed it. You changed it by spitting in the face of the people. You did it through backroom deals. That's how you changed the law, Jason Smith, Mo. To protect your family's income, you removed the bill's strict 50-dog limit on how many puppies a female can give birth to in a year. You saved the puppy mills, where females are just churning out puppies. And Lord knows what happens to the puppies that don't measure up. Where do they go, Jason Smith, Mo? He diluted the new requirements from the Puppy Mill Cruelty Act for how big the cages have to be. He wants smaller cages for puppies and the mother. And he reversed the number of times how many times veterinarians have to show up to visit the puppy mill and inspect the mother, the dog, and the premises. He got rid of the restrictions demanding exercise for the mother and the puppies. He got rid of the law that protected puppies and their mothers from inclement weather. In other words, Jason Smith, Mo, whose family is in the puppy mill business, brought back puppy mill cruelty despite the people of Missouri voting to end puppy mill cruelty. Another fun fact about Republican Congressman Jason Smith, Mo, is he's best friends with Kristi Noem. He donated $10,000 personally to her run for governor after they served together in Congress. And here is what Republican Congressman Jason Moe tweeted after Donald Trump nominated Kristi Noem to head Homeland Security. This is from Jason Smith, Moe. Congratulations to my great friend, Kristi Noem, on being nominated to be Homeland Security Secretary. She is exactly the type of fighter the president needs to get our border secure. Ah, that's sweet. He's a good friend. He's a good friend. And here they are together at a party. This was a few years ago when Kristi Noem was still happily married and not spending time with Corey Lewandowski. Kristi Noem's husband, from what I've heard, loved Republican Congressman Jason Smith, Mo. In fact, and this is what I heard, and this is a party that they attended, whenever there was a party, Kristi Noem's husband only allowed her to dance with Missouri Congressman Jason Smith, Mo. I don't know why. Kristi Noem's husband, because they had marital problems, he was very uncomfortable with Kristi Noem dancing with any other man. If it wasn't Jason Smith, Mo, Kristi Noem's husband would get very upset. He was very particular about Kristi dancing and who she did and didn't dance with. I guess she wanted a good dancer. He wanted a good dancer for his wife, so he only allowed her to dance with Jason Smith, Mo. And Jason Smith, Mo, adores Kristi Noem. They're made for each other. They should get married. They'd be perfect together. They love each other, and not just because she looks like his favorite drag queen. She does look like a drag queen. I'm going to assume Kristi Noem is already a West Hollywood Halloween parade costume, right? I'm going to assume that. It's really too bad Divine is no longer alive to play Kristi Noem in a biopic directed by John Waters. How great would that have been? Divine playing Kristi Noem. Well, one of the reasons Jason Smith, Mo, and Kristi Noem are such good friends is because they're on the same page politically, especially when it comes to the border. Early last year, you might recall, as Department of Homeland Security chief, Kristi Noem visited that infamous torture chamber in El Salvador. It's called CICOT, and this is the place Trump sent close to 300 immigrants, including Abrego Garcia, despite a court order specifically saying Abrego Garcia was not to be deported. That's the young man from Maryland. But the judge said Abrego Garcia has protected legal status. Donald Trump, Kristi Noem, and Pam Bondi didn't like what the judge said. So
if they don't like the rule of law, they need to change it.
If you don't like, right, okay. Or in Kristi Noem's case, just ignore it. If you don't like the rule of law, ignore it. I'm going to go over on my next show. I'm going to list all the judges they've completely ignored. Thousands of court orders. Well, standing in front of some of the prisoners from El Salvador, these are El Salvadoran gang members, not American prisoners. These are El Salvadoran prisoners. Kristi Noem recorded her PSA warning immigrants not to come to America. She said, quote, "If you come to our country illegally, this behind me is one of the consequences you could face. First of all, do not come to our country illegally. You will be removed and you will be prosecuted. But know that this facility is one of the tools in our toolkit that we will use if you commit crimes against the American people," unquote. This is Maryland resident Kilmer Abrego Garcia. I was just talking about it. He came to America from El Salvador as a teenager to escape the gangs. And in 2019, a judge gave him protected legal status, saying under no circumstances is Kilmer Abrego Garcia ever to be sent back to El Salvador by ICE because it's not safe for him. And he's a good kid. That's what the judge said. That's Abrego Garcia. That's his wife. That's his baby. That's a sweet picture, isn't it? And this is Kilmer Abrego Garcia last year after accidentally getting shipped by ICE to CICOT. That would be El Salvador's torture chamber. They call it a terrorism confinement center. that Kristi Noem is such a huge fan of. And so Abrego Garcia, you see him being tortured. Well, ICE said, oh, whoops, we made a mistake. But instead of admitting Abrego Garcia should not have been arrested and deported, Kristi Noem, on orders from Donald Trump, refused to admit ICE made a mistake. Because people who are wrong, who live wrong, never admit they're wrong because they're terrified that once you admit you're wrong, it becomes an open invitation for people to find out just how completely wrong you are about everything else. So you never admit you made a mistake. Don't give them an opening to discover how horrible a monstrosity you truly are. So, despite a judge repeatedly telling Kristi Noem to shut up, to knock it off, to stop speaking, Kristi Noem, the head of the Department of Homeland Security, when Abrego Garcia was languishing in that torture chamber, Kristi Noem called him a terrorist, a gang member, saying he should stay in that El Salvadoran dungeon for the rest of his life. She repeatedly called him an MS-13 gang member, a human trafficker, a wife beater, a child predator who traffics in child pornography. She called him a criminal, illegal alien who has terrorized the American people. She called Abrego Garcia a monster and said, when the truth finally comes out, he will be behind bars for the rest of his life. Well, the truth came out, and it's Kristi Noem who should be behind bars for the rest of her life. This is the same Kristi Noem who Alex Preddy, an ICU nurse working inside a Minneapolis VA hospital, this is who she called a domestic terrorist after he ended up getting executed by Border Patrol officers on January 24th in South Minneapolis. The head of ICE testified before Congress 2 weeks ago and said, no, he's not a domestic terrorist. After ICE agent Jonathan Ross allegedly shot Renee Good several times in the face and chest, and then as she lay dying in a pool of her own blood, he muttered, effing bitch. After he allegedly did that, Kristi Noem repeatedly accused Renee Good of being the domestic terrorist. Kristi Noem said it was Renee Good who tried to kill Jonathan Ross, even though Jonathan Ross fired his kill shots through the driver's side window as Renee Good was turning away from him. Here are some more pictures of the nearly 300 immigrants Kristi Noem and Donald Trump shipped to the torture chamber in El Salvador, despite a Judge Boasberg, ordering them not to. He said, do not let those flights take off. They ignored it. Some interesting facts about the nearly 300 men our government illegally shipped to this torture chamber in El Salvador. To this day, Trump and Kristi Noem lie and insist they were gang members, the worst of the worst, criminals, murderers, rapists. No, they were just Hispanic men with tattoos. CBS News, among other news organizations, searched the histories of the nearly 300 men sent to the torture chamber in El Salvador. They discovered that 75% of them had no criminal record whatsoever. The 25% who had a record, they were arrested. They were charged with nonviolent offenses like trespassing or maybe a traffic violation. Bloomberg found 90% had no criminal record other than a traffic violation or an immigration violation. Anyway, back to the Republican chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, Jason Smith, Mo, with his best friend Kristi Noem. Here is the unmarried, confirmed bachelor, Republican chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, Jason Smith, Mo, on April 15th of last year, touring the very same torture chamber his best friend, Kristi Noem, was raving about. There are 3 photos, a little compilation of Jason Smith, Mo, visiting that El Salvadoran torture chamber. I especially like this photo of the unmarried Republican Jason Smith, Mo. Isn't that a nice picture? You can almost hear him saying to the warden, "How much for 15 minutes with the scruffy one on the far right?" That would be Jason Smith, Mo. And right after returning from his tour of Kristi Noem's favorite dungeon, Republican Congressman Jason Smith, Mo, tweeted this out to our president. This is after he came home from the CCOT prison, the torture chamber in El Salvador. He writes, "Thanks to President Trump, the CCOT prison in El Salvador, which is home to some of the country's most vicious criminals, now includes illegal immigrants who broke into our country and committed violent acts against Americans." That is an effing lie, Congressman Jason Smith, Mo. He goes on to write, "It is unconscionable that Democrats in Congress are urging the release of more foreign criminals back into our country. You are a liar, Jason Smith." That is Homeland Security Chief Kristi Noem with her best friend, Republican Congressman Jason Smith, Mo. And she, as you know, raved about her visit to that torture chamber in El Salvador. And Jason Smith, Mo, saw the pictures. He had to go and pay a visit himself. And let's get back to him visiting the torture chamber in El Salvador. Here is the, do we have this? Yes, here's the unmarried, confirmed bachelor, Republican chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, Jason Smith, Mo, who got rid of the puppy mill act. He's all for torturing puppies. And he thinks it's a splendid idea to make 300 Spanish-speaking immigrants here in America. He thinks it's a great idea to just make them go live in this torture chamber. And here's Jason Smith, Mo, just breathing in the majesty of roughly 40,000 shaved men crammed into cages, 200 to one cage, kind of like his mother's puppy mill. Yeah, 200 shaved men sharing one toilet. There is Jason Smith, Mo, just breathing it all in. Hang on for 1 second. We have a thought bubble. Oh, this is fun. So, with new AI technology, sometimes AI can tell me what someone is actually thinking when a picture of them was taken. This is AI. Let's find out what he's thinking. The men in these cages look like the dogs in Mommy's puppy mill, only cuter. Okay, that's interesting. What else? They look so beaten, the way I did when Mommy found my collection of male bodybuilding magazines underneath my mattress. Geez Louise, can't a feller have an interest in sports? Well, I don't know if male bodybuilding is, he says male bodybuilding is a legitimate competitive athletic event. You're right. I stand corrected. He goes on to think the way Mommy beat me into submission just for staring at my male bodybuilding magazines. It gives me a stuffy just thinking about it. What's a stuffy? What's a stuffy? Mommy standing over me with a whip, lashing me as I promised Jesus I wasn't gay. Man, I am so fat, bald, and ugly. What would any of these men ever see in me? Me, Jason Smith, the very straight and Republican chairman of the House Ways and Men's Committee. Wait, did I say chairman of the House Ways and Men's Committee? I meant to say if I don't get to talk to that inmate with the soulful eyes, I'm going to soil myself right here in front of everyone. Dear Lord, I hate being gay. Dear Lord, I hate not being gay. Huh? That would be Jason Smith. Those are AI thought bubbles. This is a new technology where AI can now read someone's mind. So kind of interesting, kind of sad, maybe. Wait a second. I think I know why Kristi Noem and Jason Smith, Mo, are such good friends. Wait a second. He fought the Puppy Mill Cruelty Prevention Act, right? He supports cruelty to puppies. And Kristi Noem, headline from The Guardian, April 26, 2024, Trump Vice President contender Kristi Noem writes of killing dog and goat in her new book. You know, sometimes we forget the details from her book entitled No Going Back, The Truth on What's Wrong with Politics and How We Move America Forward. We forget the details in the book. In the book, Christie goes into precise detail about killing Cricket, the family puppy. She wrote of Cricket, the family puppy, "I hated that dog," unquote. Who hates a puppy? Kristi Noem. Who puts that into writing? Kristi Noem. Some of you might recall that Kristi Noem didn't just take Cricket, the family puppy, to the gravel pit and kill the family puppy. A few minutes later, after killing the family puppy, Kristi Noem figured, you know, as long as mommy's on a killing spree, I'm going to go kill the family goat. This is in her book. She hated the family goat. So while the puppy's death rattle became a faint echo in the gravel pit, Christie dragged the pet goat next to Cricket, and it was an uncastrated goat, and she shot the goat, but she didn't kill the goat completely. So she walked, according to the book, she walked slowly back into the house as the goat was suffering. This is not halal or kashrut. This is not how you kill a goat. As the goat is suffering in pain, she slowly walked back into the house to get another shell, loaded it into her rifle, slowly walked back to the gravel pit, and then finally fired the kill shot that took the family pet goat out of its misery. In her book, Kristi Noem writes that shooting the family puppy and then the family pet goat did indeed startle the men doing construction around her house and, quote, confused her young daughter. No, I don't think your young daughter was confused. I think your young daughter figured puppy, goat, me? She wrote in the book, this is what Kristi Noem wrote in the book, quote, I guess if I were a better politician, I wouldn't be telling the story here in my book. Yeah, I guess being a better parent doesn't concern you. You're worried about being a better politician. Shooting a puppy and a goat in front of your daughter, you say, confused her. These are good people. These are good people. If a person like Kristi Noem is shipping men to that torture chamber in El Salvador, it's for a good reason. She's a good person. She couldn't sleep at night if she knew an innocent person was being shipped to a torture chamber. Back to Speaker Mike Johnson's press conference, where he warmed up the crowd for Trump's big State of the Union. Here he is, still upset that close to 60 Democrats plan not to attend the president's speech.
We don't skip out.
You said that already. Jason Smith. Mo, is that true that you don't skip out? None of you skip, right, Jason Smith? Hang on for 1 second. I want to hear him code switch.
Because illegals aren't supposed to vote in this America.
In this, that's him code switching. That's what he sounds like when he's code switching. I am what they call dark woke. That is the term for me, dark woke.